This feels really weird to do again after such a long time, but hello. It is I, Barrett, of So Good We Named It, the first Golden Girls and Golden Palace podcast, and the first Golden Girls or Golden Palace podcast with the black host, as seen at GoldenCon 2022, GoldenCon 2023, The Judge Mathis Show, USA Today, The Associated Press, The Golden Girls Kitchen. Need I go on? I don't think I do. But I don't even know what number episode this is. I probably should add that information. I want to say like 80 something. I do want to warn you that in this episode, I go on a lot of tangents and rants about things that are not necessarily directly correlated to the Golden Girls. Shocking, I know. So if you don't want to hear that, you may want to skip ahead a bit. I also talk about a lot of things about my personal life that I typically would not on this platform, but I just feel like since, we've been through so much over the years and it's been a long time since I've been on here, and I just really wanted to, you know, share with me, Lester, a little more insight into why I haven't been on here and what's been going on with me. If you don't care about that, no, that's fine. But that's what we're doing today. Moving forward, I will go back to a more standard format of focusing primarily on the Golden Girls and Golden Girls related things and topics. But since it has been such a long time, this is what's happening right now. And I'm going to be very blunt about a lot of things and speak a little more directly about a lot of things I have not. So if you can't take, if it's too much for you, I understand. But that's what's about to happen right now. This is a first for this podcast because I'm going to do this entire episode by myself, at least until one of the cats decides to use the litter box, because for whatever reason, they'll be sitting here for hours. The minute I start recording something, now everybody's got to go. So, whatever. Anywho, the reason I wanted to do this episode alone, first of all, I wanted to get into the meat and taters about a couple of things, such as why I haven't been doing the show. So, number one, unlike shows like Out on the Lanai, shout out to them, I don't get paid for this. So that's one incentive to not, do it if I don't feel like doing it. But also, I've had a lot going on, a whole lot going on, and not good things going on for quite some time. It's like another one, thank you. And it really was not making me feel very creative. Everybody's so creative. Well, not me. Okay. Now, granted, had there been like a huge demand and people are like, oh my God, we must have more episodes, I would have tried to make it happen. But honestly, maybe like 2 or 3 people in like the year or however long it's been. It hasn't been a year, but since I've stopped doing episodes consistently, people really don't seem to care. So I'm like, well. And I realize people might be starting the podcast way after it started, so they still have episodes to go, things like that. But I was like, well, whatever. But just a little brief thing. This would have been over a year ago, but my husband's grandmother passed away, and the next day I was fired. And it wasn't because I did anything. They actually end up getting rid of, they laid off everyone a couple of months after that. But that week, which was right before Christmas, they fired a bunch of people that had been there, close to 5 years, because we were going to be eligible for a sabbatical, I assume, because I hadn't done anything. And, that didn't really make me feel like doing podcast episodes. And the 4 months it took for me to get another job, I don't think I talk about it like that, but I have had my fair share of mental health issues that I've had to deal with. And that was very fucking depressing. And I got another job. So I was like, okay, great, feeling good, feeling great. And that was around the time that I was like, okay, let me do some more episodes. Only to then get fired again. I'm starting to think maybe the problem is me. But again, and I don't think I'm just not taking accountability. I never had any write-ups or anything. I was meeting my expectations, but the company I was working for, first of all, they have a lot of lawsuits right now regarding them using, basically it was a video game app. And they are being accused of using like fake opponents for people so that they can't win. And I was given these emails and things, and I did point out, I was like, these are not real people, these are employees. And I guess, I wasn't supposed to say that. I just wanted to let them know that I knew, and I'm not gonna waste my time because this is not a real person. And I guess they didn't like that. But they also hired somebody because I was fired like days after that. And at the previous job, I also had complained about something, related to racism. Um, and same thing with this job because people were saying a lot of racist things and whatnot. And they were like, you should just give them credits on their accounts. It doesn't matter what they say to you. Okay, just get abused. And then I had met with someone with the marketing team about helping them with their commercials. And she had mentioned that the commercials that test the best are when they have black people pretend to be, homeless or robbing people and things like that. And I was like, that seems racist. So, I guess I already know that speaking up is going to put a target on my back, but I'm not the type of person that cannot speak up. So, hey, if it happens, it happens. At least my conscience is clear. But they also hired someone to do my job, and they were paying her significantly less than me. And the company was in China. I don't read Chinese. I don't speak Chinese. Everything was in Chinese. I had translated, and they knew that I didn't, but she did speak it. So that all culminated in me losing my job yet again, and I only had that job like 4 months. So at this current point, I'm still unemployed. But that coupled with just nonstop crazy shit that would just keep happening, my car got hit, just all types of stuff. And I, as Suzanne Sugarbaker from Designing Women would say, I was about 2 seconds from going up in a tower and hurting some people. So unfortunately, that pushed this way down on the priority list. It really did. I did miss it, of course, and I would do an episode here or there, or I would talk about it, but it was just really hard to just do it, and I didn't want to get on here and be all depressed, like, oh, hello, this is so good we named it, or be phoning it in. So I was like, well, I'll get around to it when I get around to it, because I wouldn't want it to just end abruptly like that. Not that anybody gives a damn, but being a super big TV person, I hate when shows that I like just abruptly go off the air. I need closure. Okay, I'm still mad about Half and Half, and honestly mad about Golden Palace. But yeah, I'm not saying this is gonna go on forever because like Enough Wicker, they just for the most part reviewed the episodes in order, so you knew it was gonna come to an end at a certain point. Out on the Lanai, they go and do all types of stuff. Sometimes they redo old episodes that they've already covered or whatever. So that, they've been going for like 25 years. But for this, I don't know how long it's going to go. But I did want to at least have a proper finale or maybe end at a more solid number, like 100 or something like that. So that's that on that. Also, with me not doing the show with Kay anymore, which shockingly, like maybe one person has asked where she went. So that's why I've never talked about it. It's not like it's some big secret or, I just wanted to be the elephant in the room. Nobody's asked. So, but it was hard to do. I mean, if we can be frank, and no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade. And I'm not, on here to disparage my former co-host, but if we're going to be honest, I did everything. All she had to do was get on here and talk. So, that was a lot for me to do by myself, edit the episodes, post everything. And, it was overwhelming. And once she was no longer doing it, you would think that'd make it easier, but in a way, not so much. Because at least when I had a co-host, we could just jump on and record something real quick. And, it is what it is. And we could try to figure out what worked for our schedules. So after she wasn't on the show, then I always had to have a guest co-host. So it was harder to schedule with, I don't want to say random people, but, a special guest. And I was like, well, I can't just talk by myself. So, that made it more difficult as well. Anyway, I've just had a whole lot going on. Still looking for work. If you're hiring, let me know. I do have a lot of endeavors and things. I had a pop-up shop for 3 weeks. Which was really interesting and fun, and I'm trying to do another one. I've done other people's vintage events. I've done a little ride sharing. I've done some work as an extra. I've done a whole lot of things to try to make up for the lack of funds. And baby, they are missed. Maybe I needed to be humble because I grew up pretty, I wouldn't say affluent, but upper middle class. And, the job that I had, that was within, what do they say, a stone's throw of making 6 figures. So I was feeling myself, especially for me to not have a degree. So I was living large and in charge, but not so much now. And speaking of large and in charge, if you look, about a year ago, I was quite hefty. I was eating my feelings because I was real pressed about everything going on. I definitely needed to say Blanche Devereaux was going on a diet, but I have lost like 20 pounds. So not that I was humongous, but for me, it was a little stuffed. So again, wasn't feeling it, but not that there's anything wrong with that. It just wasn't working for me. So I was ready to go get in that parade full of people chanting about Wegovy, which is terrifying. Imagine you're just standing in the middle of the street and you see a mob of people chanting Wegovy. I would be terrified. But anyway, getting back on topic. What the hell was I talking about anyway? I don't have anybody to blame for me getting off topic. What did Kay used to say? Land the plane. But yeah, what the fuck was I talking about? I was really moving and grooving and I got sidetracked by my weight gain. But anyway, yes, poverty. Man, I needed to know what it's like, I guess, because I really didn't understand. Because it ain't never been like this. I'm in a much better place now, and in a way, I was doing my finances. I was like, I think I got more money than I had when I was working my job before my last one. But it took me a minute to get here, and I'm still not quite where I was, and I do have a lot more debt than I had because I had to use my credit cards a lot. So while I do have a good steady amount coming in from various places, I don't have insurance, and I have a lot more debt. So I'm not out of the woods yet, as they say. Not that I've ever used that phrase before, but I just say all that to say that is depressing when you come from a certain standard of living and now you no longer have it. I don't know why they called the show Good Times, because these are not good times. These are pretty terrible times. And if you all recall, I was talking about I was going to move to LA, which I intended to do until I lost my fucking job. But I'm glad I didn't move and then lose it. So it really just changed a lot of things. And more importantly, more important than all of this, my favorite cat passed away. The one you might have seen playing Mr. McTavish or whatever, Mr. Peepers. When I would play Rose, I would always have this gray cat with me because he was the only one that would let me hold him long enough to do that, and he passed away. So just a lot of crazy shit happening. So yeah, not enjoying not having as much money. Like I like to go on random vacations. Like I bought my car just because. Like I owned the car that I had, and I was like, I want another car. Like I ain't doing that now. Definitely fucking not. I'm not buying a Hot Wheel or a Matchbox car right now. Micro Machines. Do they even make that anymore? So yeah, I don't make it a habit to tell my business on the internet, but in case anyone cares, there's a little backstory as to why I have not been posting as much. But I'm in a better headspace right now. I took my little social media hiatus and I was like, you know what? I really want to bring the show back, so I'm going to do that. But the first one that I do, I want to be by myself because it has been me from the beginning. Yes, Kay was here for quite a bit of it, but I've been here for all of it. And it was my brainchild, and it was my baby. So, welcome, baby. But what I wanted to get into, and I'll go into why I wanted to get into that, is the Golden Girls as it pertains to politics. Now, another reason why I was not posting episodes or posting a lot of anything really was because I kept getting an influx of, I don't even want to call it trolls, but just negative comments because when the election started, the election season started, I started posting a lot about the election. Now, I understand that if you follow a page that's about the Golden Girls, you want to hear about the Golden Girls. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Like I always notice random pages I followed years ago on Facebook for different shows or movies. I'm assuming that the celebrities or whoever sell the page to different companies so they can advertise, because why is Tyler Perry's The House of Pain telling me about this foot cream? But I get that. I understand. However, at the end of the day, this is my platform to do what I wish with it. I'm not a celebrity. I am known by some for different things. Most of you know me because of this, but I've had many lives. I had a nonprofit for 5 years that I went on TV a couple of times to talk about, I think like 2 or 3 times. I'm back on YouTube, but I was off for a while, but I was very active and popular on YouTube years ago. Like I have done a lot of things. So just because you're just now meeting me, doesn't mean that this is all that I do. And as a black gay person in America, it was a big deal to me that we were, on the brink of democracy ending, which we may be now that he's been elected. So yes, I'm going to talk about it. And one person in particular, I don't know why this pissed me off the most. And it was someone that I met in person at Golden Con both years, and we had kept in touch. I posted pictures with them. They were a finalist in the contest at the Mother of a Solid Gold party thing, and they actually had messaged me. I remember it was when Kay and I were doing the Judge Mathis show. We were in the hotel like the night before recording an episode, and this woman was texting me telling me I really should go on the Golden Girls cruise, and she was saying she would pay for me. Now, if you listen to the episode with Stan Zimmerman that I'm pretty sure I posted, I need to check to see what the hell the last episode was. But I think in that episode, because I recorded two, one for my other podcast, which I need to post, and one for this one, I talk about the show Baby Reindeer, and basically how I have a lot of people who have like parasocial relationships with me because they follow me and they feel like they know me, so they're like really attached to me, which is okay, I suppose, but it often ends very horribly. Not quite like Baby Reindeer, so I'm very, standoffish about it. And for whatever reason, it's typically older white women. I don't know why that is. But anyway, she was saying she was going to pay for me, and I'm like, that seems weird. I don't think I want her to pay for me to go to this cruise so I can be indebted to her. And I also don't know you like that. But this person messaged me, and I posted it back in the day. I should go look for it right now, actually, so I can read it word for word. I probably should have had that pulled up already, huh? I don't even know how to get to that from here. Well, the point is, she was telling me that essentially she did not. Okay, here it is. Wait, it disappeared. Like it'll pop up. It'll say, "So good we named it," and then it'll disappear. So I don't know. Have I been deactivated? But basically, she was telling me that I should not be posting about politics on the So Good We Named It page, and that I should get a separate page to post that kind of thing because she doesn't want to see that. And and I'm paraphrasing here, but from I gather from what she was saying is that she's a Trump supporter, and that I guess she felt attacked, and not all of them are terrible people, and blah blah blah. So I really had an issue with that, and it's interesting whenever I post about people that and I'm gonna get to the Golden Girls. Hold your horses. You already know what this is. Okay, Senior Frogs. But she reminded me of how I used to get dragged a lot online. I've always been dragged online. That's just the nature of being online. If you are an online presence, hell, you can be a random person just posting your I don't know, blankets that you crocheted or whatever, and somebody's gonna say something. So I don't have an issue with the haters. And whenever I post anything, people are like, "Oh, just ignore it, just ignore it." First of all, no. And second of all, you're doing what they're doing by telling me what to do. But no, I think people should be publicly shamed. Bring back public shaming. Because if I publicly shame you, then next time you want to do some shit like that, first of all, it might be towards somebody who can't handle it quite like I might be able to, depending on what's going on. Because at certain points I couldn't because I had other things happening, and I was like, I don't need this shit. But you're gonna think, hey, I got cussed out or dragged or whatever, so maybe I should shut the fuck up. Plus, sometimes I kind of get like getting people told, putting them in their place. I don't know, maybe it's my kink, but I really didn't appreciate that. But the difference before, when I was getting attacked, people were attacking me. They were saying, "You're terrible, you're this, we don't like you." But this was more so people saying, "You don't need to post this, I don't want to see this." And I lost so many followers through the election season. And that made me think like, well, damn, did I have a bunch of Trump supporters following me? And silly me, I assumed, of course, someone who loves the Golden Girls could never be a Trump supporter because how could you enjoy the show? But obviously that's not the case, as I've come to learn, seeing quite a lot of posts and comments. And I don't get that because while, yes, you can enjoy things that maybe don't align with your personal beliefs, for this specific show, that is a lot of stuff to ignore. And I don't understand, especially knowing that the actresses often were aligned with these, statements, movements, etc. I don't understand how you can watch the show. I really don't, because you really have to ignore a lot and suspend a lot of disbelief. And I would imagine that you wouldn't be able to get past that. Like if the Golden Girls were politically aligned with the MAGA people and that type of thing, I wouldn't have been able to watch the show personally because I'd be like, I don't want to support that shit. So it's very confusing. But aside from the fact that this is my shit and I can post what the fuck I want, which I don't appreciate, and it's always white people that do this to me. And honestly, most of the people that follow me from this page and listen to this show are white, and they're typically older white people, older than me anyway. So like, 40s to 60s, that type of thing. And I think that is another reason why I had an issue with it, because it felt very much like stay in your place, Negro. And I don't care for that shit. And it's just the entitlement of like, I should be able to tell you what to do with your platform because I feel that I should. I don't know. Like, I don't understand how people can feel that way. Like, you're not paying me. If you want to dictate what I post, baby, go ahead, hit that Cash App, hit that Venmo. It is so good we named it on both platforms, and we can work something out. But until that is happening, you just need to take what I post and leave it at that. And I watched something recently. I don't know, and I have tried to gear a lot of my content on here towards the audiences that I know is there. Like, I'm not going to talk about a lot of quote unquote black stuff to people that don't know what the fuck that is. But I do still need to educate you sometimes. So, Joanne the Scammer, also known as Brandon Miller, very popular meme person. If you don't know what they are, look it up, but don't do it at work. And they actually made a video about me way before they were popular, and I was the more popular one. And they had made a video saying that I hacked their page and all this, which was a lie. This was like 2007 or something, 2008. But there was like a little documentary about what happened to them because they kind of fell off the face of the earth. And he was talking about how a lot of people would hate on him for different things that he posted, and that really made him not want to post anymore. And he was like, negativity does not breed creativity. And that's true. Like, if people are saying all this hateful shit, that ain't making you want to do nothing, especially some shit you don't have to do. Like he said, he was like, I do this for fun. Now, he had made money from it, just like I have made money indirectly from this. While I don't make money for the podcast, I've been able to do things and be paid for them because of the podcast. So, he said the same thing. Like, even though it's nice to get money, at the end of the day, I don't have to do this. So that's part of why I stopped making episodes, stopped posting. It's like, well, if you don't like it, I don't have to post shit. You have nothing to complain about because you ain't going to see anything. So how about that? Now you get nothing. And again, I do understand. You follow me for Golden Girls, that's what you want to see. But it's not always about what you want, unfortunately. I follow plenty of people to start posting other stuff, like Jeffrey, who hopefully will be on the show soon. Originally was posting his animations, but now he posts him dancing and singing. And not that I mind watching that, but it's not as if I, let's say I didn't, I wouldn't be commenting, excuse me, back to the cartoons, I didn't ask to see that shit. Like, no, that would seem insane to me. Like, it's his page, and if I just don't like that, I could unfollow him or, just skip past it. So that just kind of was another factor in it. And it's the entitlement. Like, the fact that so many people just feel like it is for them to dictate. I am a regular Joe, just like you. As I was saying earlier, yes, I am known by many people for many things. Some I wish I wasn't known for. But at the end of the day, I'm still a regular person. This is just, this is my Instagram, just like you have your Instagram. Yes, it says So Good We Named It, but it's still mine. And I don't have any other social media. I don't use anything else anymore. I only use these. So whatever I want to talk about is going to be on here. Y'all don't do this to H. Allen. He can talk about whatever he wants. Why are you doing it to me? But maybe because he's not putting it out on the Lanai page. But I don't have another page that I use. So, I'm all encompassing. I'm everything and anything. And I like a lot of different stuff. And what was I watching? I don't remember. Somebody else talking about the same thing. I think it was, probably Fake Gamer Girl on YouTube, because she's a Sims 4, the video game, gamer, and that's what she talks about. And she was like, I like other stuff. Like, I like other things besides the Sims, and I like other things besides the Golden Girls. I should be allowed to talk about other things if I want to. I'm not going to make a page for everything that I like. I'm just going to put all in one place. I do try to heavily, focus most of the content about the Golden Girls because of the fact that, So Good We Named It. But it's more than that. When I had the pop-up shop, it was called So Good You Bought It, So I use this for many things. And it just was not the time. I just had so much going on that I was not in the mood. Because it was like, okay, either I'm going to cuss y'all out every day, or I'm not going to post. And while I can get riled up, I didn't want that to be all I was on here doing. And I also have had to suppress a lot of my feelings about a lot of things, because when I was on YouTube and whatnot before, I was kind of known for ranting and raving, and I didn't need that to be my brand, especially since, again, I didn't want to be labeled as an angry black person. And I was like, well, I'm trying to go in a different direction, and with Golden Con, everything going on back then. I was like, I don't want to get uninvited because I didn't cuss somebody out, so let me just relax. But no, I'm going to be more like T.S. Madison and go back to being myself and posting what I want to post, letting the girls have it when they try me. And that's just going to be that on that. And if people have a problem with it, that's fine. I don't need you here anyway. Anybody that's following me, supporting me, I want you to be following and supporting me because you like me for me and what I have to say, what I'm doing, what I got going on, not for whatever little fake picture of me you have in your head or what you specifically think I should be doing. Because I'm not coming to your page. I'm not saying, look here, Margaret, I don't want to see your little ugly ass grandkids no more. Don't you post that shit. Margaret does not exist, by the way. So yeah, that's my long-winded entry into this topic because for all the people that kept commenting, this is not about politics. The Golden Girls wasn't about politics. Oh, really? Oh, really? Well, let me get my enough wicker on, okay, shout out to them, and do my scholarly research on that ass. Since you got your degree and you know every fucking thing, like Monique would say. So if you notice a shift, and I saw yesterday, I don't remember her name, but somebody was on Very Delta, and she was saying how when people only know you for a certain thing, that's all they want to see. And sometimes you have to go away and come back so that you can show them this is who I am now. Because before this podcast started, I had been talking to friends and stuff about how I wanted to have almost like a network in a way. Because I had YouTube before, but like on various platforms, I wanted to be able to post about all different kinds of things under one umbrella, which is why the other podcast is so good we named it in More. And on there, I'm talking to different celebrities and writers, and I'm talking to, this woman whose sister went missing 50 years ago, and just all types of stuff. And I want to be able to have that. So if you know you like cooking, you're going to go watch So Good You Cooked It. You know you like gardening, you're going to go watch So Good You Planted It, or whatever, and just have something for everybody because I have varied interest. Hell, I don't see y'all doing this when all these damn TV shows and channels and all that change their entire format, although you probably do, because you always see actors say how, oh, when we did this, we got all this mail about because I changed my hairdo. Y'all need to get a life. Why don't you make some content? Since you got so much to say about what I'm doing, what the fuck are you making? Exactly, so shut up. Anyway, I wanted to get into welcome to the all new So Good We Named It, where you get cursed out and you hear rants about my depression before you ever get to the show. I wanted to give some examples of how the Golden Girls were very political. So I don't know what fucking show y'all were watching. For all you Karens and Kens in the comment with your wraparound sunglasses and your Blue Lives Matter profile pictures and shit. Because I don't need that. If you follow Trump, you don't need to follow me, okay? I want to give you some examples of just how political the Golden Girls were, since apparently you think I'm just pulling this shit out of my anus. So, the Golden Girls challenged the dominant framing of women, and especially senior women, as lacking a sex drive, and it rewrote the popular script of household kinship formations as patriarchal institutions. Elliot H. Powell for the University of Minnesota. Minnesota. And that is very true. Also, that's one of the reasons these women were so fascinating to us. Over their long lives, they'd grown, sometimes changing their minds or political points of view. These girls were women who had learned a thing or two about empathy, love, and support. Jim Colucci for CNN. And Jim Colucci wrote the Golden Girls Forever book, and on that same article, he mentioned that he researched it for 10 years. I did not know that. He's never been on the show. I should ask him to be on the show, since we were chatting it up at Golden Con, as he's like, who are you? But that's that on that. So many of you know that Rue McClanahan and B. Arthur first worked together on Maude. That uncompromising, enterprising, anything but tranquilizing, right on Maude. And that was a super political show. And no, it's not the Golden Girls, but it is very Golden Girls-esque. Not just because it has the two actresses that are also in the Golden Girls, but hell, Maude is definitely on the same wavelength as Dorothy. Vivian, though, is more so a Rose, but they were kind of written in the same vein. And one of the most famous episodes of any TV show ever is an episode of Maude where she gets an abortion. And that was like 50 years ago. And now in 2025, you, again, cannot get an abortion in many places in America. So very fucking topical. And Maude eventually ran for state senate. And the final episodes of the show have Maude and Walter moving to D.C. so she can be a congresswoman. And then she abruptly left the show. I see a pattern here, B, And the show continued for a little bit under the name Mr. Dugan. But the point is, you don't get much more political than that when the star of the show moves to DC to become a congresswoman. Um, and there's many references throughout the Golden Girls about presidents and politics. And I don't just mean little, one-off comments like Sophia mentioning that Nancy Reagan is the thin one that Ronald Reagan helps off the helicopter. One episode, Dorothy says to Rose, "I cannot believe my mother is hanging out with that cheap hood." And Rose says, "You mean Rocco?" And Dorothy says, "No, Rose, I mean Spiro Agnew." So if you have Matt Browning's Golden Girls reference book, maybe you get that, or if you were alive at the time, or you're a history buff. But for those of you that don't know, Spiro Agnew was Richard Nixon's vice president. And of course, Richard Nixon was, until recently, the biggest crook we've had in the Oval Office. And Spiro was in on it too, okay? And just a little fun fact for those of you who don't know. In 1973, Agnew was investigated by the United States Attorney for the District of Maryland on suspicion of criminal conspiracy, bribery, extortion, and tax fraud. Sounds familiar. Agnew took kickbacks from contractors during his time as Baltimore County Executive and Governor of Maryland. And I'm going to cite my source and say that is from Wikipedia. Also, you might recall the "this from a woman who has a Dukakis bumper sticker." Why am I doing the Dorothy voice? I think Sophia said that. "This from a woman who put a Dukakis bumper sticker over her Mondale bumper sticker." Something like that. But if you don't know, Walter Mondale was Jimmy Carter's VP, and he ran against Reagan in 1984. And he lost every state but Minnesota, getting 13 electoral votes to Ronald Reagan's 525. Now, that is some embarrassing shit. You would never see me again if that happened to me, which is so crazy that people try to say how Kamala lost by a landslide. No, bitch, this is a fucking landslide. Like, to lose every fucking state, embarrassing. But Dukakis was a Democrat who ran against Bush in 88. And he also lost, not as big of a margin, but he lost 111 electoral college votes to Bush's 426. So those two guys might be why Sophia eventually makes a comment with the dog saying, "A viable Democrat for president, go!" Because Jimmy Carter stopped being the president in 1981, and we didn't get another Democrat until Bill Clinton in 1982. Man, I wish the Golden Girls had kept going on, because I would love to have heard what they would have had to say about Bill Clinton, because Golden Palace was not really political outside of Blanche trying to get Roland lynched by those daughters of the Confederacy. My grandfather told stories about Claude Liverdi. Also, we hear Sophia say, "The George Bush era, me. I'm guessing this is a reference to the fact that when in office, he alienated the more conservative wing of the Republican Party in a variety of ways, including breaking his promise not to raise taxes and cutting military spending. Conservatives felt he had betrayed the Reagan Revolution." And that was by Stephen Knott on millcenter.org. Now, if you listen to enough Wicker, which I like to call our sister show, I guess, my sister's dead now, but they often pointed out how into Reagan the girls were, and this fake sense, not fake, but this idealistic sense of allegiance, I guess, to America. On a side note, I don't recall, I mean, maybe I didn't see it, but I don't recall anybody saying anything to them for talking about politics. I guess they can do what they want, but I can't. Okay, I'm still pressed. But you also have Sophia in this line. I always try to work into the conversation when they're at Disney World, and she says, "That night I saw 1,000 points of light. I turned to my wife Barbara and said," that whole thing. So just a little on that. In his 1989 inaugural address, our former president and the founder of this organization, that I'm going to tell you about, President George H.W. Bush, shared his vision of 1,000 points of light. Individuals and organizations across the nation helping others through service. And today, Points of Light transcends politics and borders to inspire millions worldwide. And that can be found out about on pointsoflight.org, the official proud sponsor. Just kidding. And then in The President is Coming, which was literally a 2-part episode about the president coming, but I guess they don't talk about politics. Okay, get bent, people. What are y'all talking about? Dorothy, was ready to let him have it, honey. She was going to go in and let have on Mr. Bush, only to say Bush. But I'm guessing the reason that, because she does mention, there's a lot of things about education as a teacher that she wanted to talk about. I wonder why Dorothy, as Gloria said, didn't become a real teacher. For her to be so active, because when I think of substitute teachers from when I was in school, they were either retired or they just wanted something part-time because they had kids or something like that, or another job. So for this to be her like main job, why did she never just try to be a full-time teacher? Like, I don't know of anyone who their job for life is substitute teaching. Like, what is it about that? Like, she wanted to be an assistant, a vice principal or whatever. At that one time she was at the tracks, but you don't want to be a regular teacher. She did have that one time she stayed longer because the teacher was going to be out, but I would assume she probably saw a lot of the same kids because Miami can't have that many damn high schools. So she probably saw them over and over. So maybe they continue the Attila the Sub uh, nickname for her. But um, George H. Bush, H.W. Bush, W, um, he declared himself the education president in 1988, and he virtually guaranteed education would have a spot in his 1992 campaign. And from what I saw, I didn't want to dive too deep into it, but from what I saw, he made a lot of promises that he did not keep. So I guess that's why Dorothy was upset. So those are several examples of where the Golden Girls clearly discusses politics. So that's one reason for me to talk about politics. But even if they didn't, I can do what I want. But it's my bed and I'll do what I want. But they also talked about a lot of political issues in general, such as gay marriage. Clayton and Doug, they got married in January of 1991. Gay marriage was not legal in all of the United States until 2015, 24 years later. Talk about being ahead of your time. Iconic! Not to mention the whole Gene thing. Lesbian. And it's crazy to think about because despite, it's shocking, I know, but I haven't had a lot of relationships. I'm married now, and I had like one ex that I would really count. Other than that, I was the most popular hen in the barnyard. And you'll find out how to be that popular safely later on. But the last relationship that I had, we could not have gotten married. That's wild. We could not get married. That just is ridiculous. We could have gotten married in the state, but it wouldn't have been recognized federally. Um, I'm sure we probably would have gotten married anyway. He's been with the same person like 10 years, and I saw him recently, and I was like, you would have had to marry me, okay? I would not have dated you for that long. But that is very political. And I guess if you're not a part of those demographics, and maybe you don't think about it like that, maybe you don't see it that way, the same way, like when people talk about the Fat Becky episode and how offensive that is and whatnot. I'm not the target demo as far as the people that would feel some type of way. While I did gain 20 pounds, I would not consider myself obese. So I didn't, not to say I can't sympathize or empathize, but I personally didn't think it was that crazy the way they were talking to her, because I always see people like, I have to skip that episode because of how they talked to her, because they dragged everyone. Now, if the show was typically everybody being all nice and sweet to each other and then they just attacked her, then I would have been like, okay, what's going on? But everybody got it. Ham got it later on. That was just their thing, dragging people. And being fat or overweight was not really that accepted back then. Not that it is now, but it really wasn't then. But if you want to hear more about that, go listen to the episode I did with Sean Schweppes, aka Becky number 1. Speaking of which, it's the anniversary of when Becky number 2 passed away, or around that time. Let me see, because I thought it was today, because it came up on TikTok, actually, that I posted this video a year ago that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But then somebody commented and they were like, actually, it was the 10th. Okay, it was the 10th of February. And another example of, people who follow me making me want to just delete this shit because I don't have to deal with that. There was this whole controversy when I announced it or posted about it, of people not only telling me that I was lying, but that I was creating a hoax. Now, first of all, if I was going to do a hoax, no shade to the late Deborah Engel, but she would not be the person I would do a hoax about, because most people probably wouldn't know who she was. So I don't know, why I would select her, but why would I do that? That's so crazy to say, that I'm like, ooh, let me pretend that she's dead. Because if she was not, then she could very easily sue me or, whatever. Be like, why are you talking about me? I'm not dead. people are like, I'm Googling and it doesn't say anything. Like, she was not a major celebrity, so it's not like it was going to be on front page news instantly, or that all the websites would have that, just as soon as she passed away, would be putting that up. Like, only reason people really knew about it, I think, was because her sister posted about it on Facebook, which I posted. I was like, this is what her sister said. Are you going to tell me differently? I showed a picture of her with her sister. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And that just goes into what I was saying about the demographic that follows me, and it was very much giving Make America Great Again, because a lot of those people, all of those people, don't like facts. They just say whatever they want to say, and they question everything. They call everything a hoax. They call everything fake news, but they don't actually do real research to investigate or see how things truly work. And then they put the onus on you when you have already done your research and say, well, prove it. Bitch, you the one telling me I'm lying. Prove to me I'm lying. The fuck? So, there's a little triggering. But back to the point here. We also have the episode, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? Which, it's an important topic, but that episode was late. But it was about the unhoused population. See, I'm trying to be woke, because you're not supposed to say homeless, even though I said it earlier. Homeless, unhoused, because a person is not homeless, they're just unhoused. I don't remember the explanation. Wait, I was still talking about Fat Becky. I'm all over the place. But the point is, I'm not the one that would be offended anyway, because I'm not part of that group. So it really isn't for me to say, oh yeah, that's not offensive, So I wasn't like telling people you shouldn't be offended. I just didn't agree. But same thing with, gay marriage, whatever. The AIDS episode, like, I can't donate blood because I'm gay. They would rather you all die. I mean, I donated blood in high school because that's how we pay for our dances. That's pathetic. But I was banned back then anyway, even before I was out, because they said I had hepatitis C antibodies, probably from me getting the vaccine for it. So to hell with you, Life Source. You don't need my blood anyway. But I might go donate some plasma to get a little extra coin, if you know what I'm saying. I'll just go in there, yes, I'm a straight heterosexual man. My wife is in the car. That's what I did when I went to Costco, because they don't want to let you in if you don't have the card. I understand not letting you purchase anything, but I can't even go in. How do I know what I'm missing? Can I look? Because at that time I was about to get married, and I was looking because somebody said they do good wedding cakes, so I just went to go see. And I was like, oh, my wife's in there, and I parked the car, and they didn't want to let me in. So I was like, call the manager over, and then she let me the fuck in. That's what I thought. But anyway, back to the Golden Girls. 40 minutes in. Let me take a little sip. I took my straw out because I didn't want to have my metal straw clinking in your ears. Refreshing. This episode is brought to you by Waterloo. Waterloo. Buy some. Or don't, because it's not a real sponsorship and I get nothing out of it. I don't need a co-host. Listen to me. I've been going for all this time. I'm quite entertaining on my own. But, which is the thing that I have to really remember, because I always feel like I need somebody to do something with me, when really I don't. I don't know why I feel like I need that, because a lot of times people really hold me back, to be honest. So I need to stop doing that. But back to that episode. A little fun fact, well, not a fun fact at all, but a fact: the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, counted 653,104 homeless Americans, oh, so they can say it, in its annual point-in-time report, which measures homelessness across the U.S. on a single night each winter. That's a 12.1 increase from what the same report had in 2022. And you can find out more about that on usafacts.org. But yeah, that's part of why I used to have my little organization. The only reason I stopped doing it is because I didn't have consistent volunteers and people stopped donating. And I would definitely do it again, because, that could have been me, shit. And basically I would go hand out care packages. So we would have food, winter clothes, toiletry, all types of stuff. And the first year we did it every single week, no matter what the weather was or anything, every week. The next year it was every other week, and it just became less and less because I was trying to stretch that shit out, the donation money. But that is a very big topic in, guess what? Politics. Period, poo. And in Dorothy's prize pupil, Mario gets deported. And, oh, what do you know? All these years later, immigration is still a thing. By the way, shout out to Latinos for Trump. How you feel about that decision? Because I see a lot of y'all on the news. Oh my God, you deported my wife. You deported my husband. You deported my family. What the fuck did you think was going to happen, dummy? Now you found out. As John Leguizamo would say, Latinos for Trump is like roaches for raid. But y'all gonna find out fat meat is greasy. That's something old black women say. Because I tried to tell y'all asses. So now you're getting exactly what you wanted. How those egg prices doing, boo? Thought so. Bet you wish you had Count Bessie. Anywho, in that episode, Mario gets deported because of Dorothy. And we never hear from him again or see him again, even though she claims she was going to fight to get him back. Thanks a lot, Dot. But that is very much still an issue. And I personally have no problem with people coming to this country. Come on in. Do what you got to do. That's literally what the point of America was, right? I guess it's only okay to come here when you're captured to be a slave. That's the only time it's acceptable, I guess. And it's so funny to me how people are like, this is our country. Is it? What makes it yours? Because I'm pretty sure it belongs to Native Americans and you just came and stole it. But all right. See, they should have just let y'all perish from smallpox. So we wouldn't be dealing with this right now. But I'm sure I just lost 10 more followers with that one. But seems real, political to me. And also the Glenn Kessler episode. And I met the actor that plays him. Very nice guy, Golden Khan, who played a trans man. Iconic to have a trans man. Not only is a trans man, but a trans man that was not used as a joke. And he's running for office. You better work, Glenn Kessler. So that's doubly political. Thank you very much. And I won't go on with more examples, but that is a very, very political show. So if you are somehow watching the show through some filter, maybe you're watching it on Hallmark, where once they edit the fuck out the episode for all the commercials and shit, it's literally like 10 minutes of dialogue. Maybe you're missing all of that. I don't know, because I don't watch the Golden Girls on TV. If I'm going to watch it, I watch it on Hulu. I'm not trying to have shit cut out and all of that. I want to see it as it aired originally. So maybe you're missing all that. I don't know. But a lot of you people say you've been watching it from the beginning, so you should be very well aware that this was a political show. That wasn't the heart of the show. It wasn't Murphy Brown or Women of the House when Suzanne Sugarbaker becomes, I think she was a senator or something, or a congresswoman. It's not quite like that, but it was very relevant. And in one of the articles I was looking at, I think it was Jim Colucci's, yeah, it was. He was saying that the reason they were able to get away with so many, political themed episodes and lines is just because they were older, so people, I guess, weren't taking them seriously like that. Felt like, yeah, whatever. But it is a very political show. So if you don't agree, if you don't feel like that, I don't know what to tell you. Perhaps you would better be suited listening to another Golden Girls podcast. There are not many. There's Out on the Lanai, and then there's the one run by that person that's a predator that apparently just made this as a cash grab, and they really aren't into the Golden Girls like that. But you didn't hear that from me. And then, Enough Wicker is not making new episodes, but there's lots out there. And there's been a few here or there, but I don't think they're that consistent, which, hey, I'm not one to talk, because neither am I. So go listen to one of those, or go listen to your own. Go make your own Golden Girls podcast, and you can talk about whatever you want. But what I'm going to do over here, not that I'm going to be making political episodes like that, but I may make a political post. I may reference Trump. I may, talk about something not about politics or Golden Girls. I might be talking about The Sims 4 or, one of the other shows I like, half and half. I might be doing a whole lot of stuff because I'm a very multifaceted person with a lot of different interests and a lot to say about a lot of things. I'm not going to continue to stifle myself like Edith Bunker because people don't want to hear a certain thing or see a certain thing, and I don't feel like dealing with the backlash because I'm too depressed with other things. Y'all better be glad. Y'all better be glad that I was too distracted by the things going on in my real life that actually matter and mean something. Not that this doesn't mean anything, like it's special to me, but in the grand scheme of things, in society as a whole, it doesn't matter. Y'all better be glad I was too distracted with that. Because had I been in a better headspace and had, less things stressing me out, y'all really would have been getting cussed out. But moving forward, you'll be getting cussed out. Doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion, but if the first time I hear from you is you complaining on a post, like, where were you before when I was like, hey, follow and listen to this, blah, 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 you ain't had shit to say then. Or, that's just the majority of what you say. Like, you can have an opinion, but don't come on my shit telling me what I can and cannot do. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that. Don't do that. Because you're not going to like the result. But, because y'all don't understand, y'all have seen a very, very, very nice and muted version of me throughout the years. Okay? But I'm about to start posting y'all pictures and talking about you. Like, you don't want that. I don't want that for you. I want to keep it light and fun. But I'm also going to start making examples out of people to deter other people from doing it. So if you don't want to be made an example out of, don't do that. Just listen to the show and move on, okay? I mean, hell, I had Bonnie Bartlett, who's pushing 100, on the show, and we talked about politics because that was right around the Roe v. Wade controversy. So get with it. Get on board or get lost, baby. Because So Good We Named It is back. It is here to stay for now. And I'm going to be doing what I want to do. I can no longer put out content because I think, oh, well, people might like this, people might like that. And my heart is not in it. I need to be able to do what is true to me. And that, people, is when you truly attain success. Not necessarily financially, although feel free to Cash App or Venmo me. If you love me like that, show it where it counts. But just in life. And I've had this, type of, I guess, recollection in different ways over the years with different things that I've done. But what I typically end up doing is just walking away. Like, YouTube was no longer fun for me. Yeah, I could make a video about whatever topic and get all these views and get money from it because I'm a partner. I was one of the first partners on YouTube. I don't know if they still even call it that. But when I realized that, people only wanted to see certain things, that wasn't what I wanted to do or talk about, I just stopped. And that's what I have done many times with all the various things that I've, done after I reinvent myself 85 times. If I feel like people only want to see a certain thing and my heart's not in it, I just don't do it anymore. And I'm not going to keep running away and abandoning my hard work or whatever you want to call it. Y'all are just going to have to deal with it. You're just going to have to deal with it. I mean, you don't have to. You can follow me, but I'm still going to do me. And if I have 2 people listening, as long as those 2 people are enjoying it or following me or whatever, that's all that matters, because you cannot get anywhere in life until you are being true to yourself. You are doing what you care about, talking about things that are important to you, because you cannot please everybody. You really can't, because I have tried. Oh, well, I just want to see you talk about this. Then I talk about that. Okay, well, I want to see you talk about this. Then I talk about that. And it's like, it's never enough. It's never enough. And I think social media has given people this false sense of importance to where, okay, well, because I can contact you directly, that means that I can tell you what to do. And I see that on, celebrities' pages and stuff like that. Oh, you shouldn't wear your hair like that. Or why don't you, go on a diet? Who the hell asked you? And I'm a very, very opinionated person. I have something to say about everything. But that doesn't mean I actually do say it. I might say it to somebody else, like, "Oh, girl, you see what she had on?" But I'm not going to go and tell her, you shouldn't wear that. Because who the fuck asked me? And who the fuck asked y'all? I don't need an echo chamber for people to just be all up my ass. Oh my God, I love everything you do. But at the same time, I don't need people trying to control me either. I can make a Patreon and maybe, y'all can see some stuff you want to see on there. And hell, even when I do say something like, oh, what's the episode you want me to cover? Dust. No one says shit. So I don't know what y'all want. So I'm going to stop trying to figure it out. And I feel so much better now that I've come back to Instagram. I'll get back to Facebook and Threads eventually, maybe. Probably not Twitter ever. But I'm just posting whatever. I'm just spamming the hell out of y'all. I'm just posting all types of shit. And I don't care if it doesn't get any views, doesn't get any likes or whatever, somebody complains. I don't care. I'm going to post what I want to post. I cannot let you people dictate what I do. That's not me. That is not who I am. But I have let it happen because, as we as black people know, sometimes you have to play the game. And if me dragging Trump or cussing people out that try me gets me, makes me not be included in stuff, the next Golden Con or whatever, when that happens, if that's the case, then so be it. At least I was myself, because I don't want to be asked to do something because I'm somebody else. Not to say I would do anything differently as far as, the panels and things, because that was about the Golden Girls. It was not about politics. It was not about Trump or any of that. And I would continue to do that where I'd be asked back. But before I'd be like, oh, let me not say this, they're going to, kick me out. I don't care. I don't care. I would love to be included. I assume I would be. But if not, and if because it was a direct correlation to me dragging Trump supporters, then so be it. Because truth be told, a lot of the people that I, interacted with at Golden Con were definitely giving racist MAGA vibes anyway. So clearly that's just a thing when it comes to Golden Girls fans. I don't know why. And I did enjoy it, of course. I love meeting different people or whatever, but I definitely had a lot of weird interactions, even from some of the Golden guests, even some that had been on this show. That made me kind of be like, oh, And as black people, when you're in a white space, which there were black people there, but it was a white space, you're already othered. And people are going to look at you a certain way, and there's microaggressions and all types of things that we're not going to get into today. But we know, okay? Just like we know, as black people, you don't put on nobody else's hat. You don't do that. I was talking to somebody the other day at this vintage thing. She was selling hats. She was saying how she hates when people put their hats on. And I was like, yeah, black people, you don't put on nobody's hat. You grew up, getting told. And she's like, my mother used to always say that. And she's like, one time I put on somebody's hat and I got ringworm. I said, me too. So there you go. I put on my cousin's hat. I was like 7 or something. But when I had my pop-up shop, people kept coming in there putting those hats on over and over. I was like, ooh. So some things are just cultural that everybody's not going to get. But there definitely was that othering there, which I'm sure I've mentioned a little bit. Like we were right next to the Golden Gals Live with Ginger Minge, and they're super popular, of course. So their line ended up like covering the booth at Golden Con, my booth. And of course, when I said something to their manager or whatever, they directed them the other way. But when I said something to the people that were just in line, like, hey, could you move a little bit? They were just looking at me like I was a piece of shit. Like, how dare you speak to me, And I'm like, bitch, I'm on the fucking program. And you go talk to me like that? But even if I wasn't on the program, and I just feel like, were I not a black person, maybe you wouldn't be speaking to me like that. Although a lot of people think I'm Indian. So if I wasn't an Indian person, you wouldn't be talking to me like that. Or like, and I'm not here to just be dragging people, because I have a lot of good tea that I've acquired over the years that I've not said, because I don't need to be the Wendy Williams of the Golden Girls fandom. But I will say the person who has the couch would not let us take a picture with somebody. Somebody had, purchased to take a picture, and the year before she came with her family. Her family, I think, didn't come that year. And she was like, oh, will you and Kay be in the picture with me? And they were like, no, you need tickets. First of all, it's her picture. If she wants us to be in it, who fucking cares? If we were conjoined twins, will we have to pay extra? And second of all, again, I am one of the featured panelists. So I had to go track somebody down to get the little card to go sit on the couch. And I'm not saying this person is a racist, but that type of stuff happens to black people a lot. And you always feel like, would this be happening if I was white? Black lawyers and politicians that many times, they can't get into a building. They'll say, oh, defendants have to go over here. And they're like, I'm not the defendant, I'm the lawyer, or, what are you doing in this room? What are you doing in this office? This is only for associates. And like, I work here. And this just happens all the time, where it's just assumed because you're black that you shouldn't be in this space, or you don't belong there, or you're not official, or you don't have the title, whatever it is. So I assumed that this person with the couch didn't really, believe that we were hoes or whatever, and probably thought we were just random people that were just attendees. I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. I did talk to him and have him make a little video talking about that the couch is the real couch, because people were telling me again that I was lying and making up some hoax about the couch, whatever. So, nothing against that person, but I just feel like that type of stuff tends to happen to black people more. And that's not a place where I anticipated that happening, especially after the first year was so, as Kay used to say, full of love. Because I wasn't feeling that same love that time. And it was just multiple incidents that I was like, oh, like there were people, again, that have been on the show, that have been within the fandom, well known, that I was like, hey, you want to do this thing with us while we're here? And they're like, nope, I don't have time. I'm far too busy. Oh, as far as I know, based on social media, the person who told me that ain't doing nothing now. So I guess he ain't so busy anymore, hun. But stuff happens every day. It's unconscious bias. That doesn't make somebody a racist because they treat you a certain way in every, instance, because a lot of people don't think about it. They don't realize it. Just like a lot of doctors feel like black people don't feel pain the same way white people feel, which is asinine. Does that mean that this doctor is a racist because he doesn't believe that this person is in pain? Not necessarily. They just have this unconscious bias of, black people can handle the pain. They don't need the medicine, which is why a lot of black women die in childbirth. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that just because this person in this scenario is not a racist, finger quotes, that doesn't mean that the views and opinions that they have and the things that they put into practice on a day-to-day basis don't have real-world ramifications for large groups of marginalized people. But again, they don't know that. They don't think about it. Like my grandfather mentioned how his boss told him once, well, Clarence, he makes more than you even though he has the same job because white folks just need more money than colored folks. Hmm. But either way, just being treated like an other in a place like that is supposed to be everybody's all together and having a good time, and we all are here because we love the show. Like we were walking around trying to interview people for the podcast, for little clips and stuff, and people just walk right by. Like, oh, can we ask you a question? We were giving stuff away. No, I'm not interested. They wouldn't even say not interested. They would just walk past us. And again, I just have to wonder if we were white, will we get that same reception? I just have to wonder that. Um, so that some of those experiences did put a bad taste in my mouth about the Golden Girls fandom, um, in general. And then on Facebook, in the different groups, people are saying a lot of semi racist or racially insensitive things or Trump supporter things. And then of course the people on my comments, so they just really had me also not wanting to post about the Golden Girls or whatever. It's like it's this thing that I have loved since I was a kid, will always love, and now I have so many people that are within this group, fandom, whatever, with me, treating me and my co-host Kay, also black, um, like we're pieces of shit, or are posting things that attack people of color, or even gay people, trans people, whatever, under the guise that they're Golden Girls fans. It just was a lot of nuances that it was really hard for me to wrap my head around and figure out what I wanted to do moving forward, because it really was turning me against the fandom, which is a shame because I love the fandom overall. For the most part, I've met a lot of interesting people, and we all share a common thing that we all love. And if the thing that you love is tarnished, it can kind of make you not want to do it anymore. So I say all that to say that, yeah, I'm back in this bitch. Um, and I'm gonna, keep doing it as long as I can. And hopefully I can keep going for a while. And if not, we had a good run. But yes, make sure you follow at So Good We Named It on all social media. And as I always like to say, and now I'm uninterrupted and can say it all on my own, thank you for listening, and thank you for being a. That's right, I'm back. In fact, I've come back more times than Shirley MacLaine. But make sure you're following me on all social media. There's been a whole bunch of new ones since the last time I did this. So go to the link tree. I'm on X, Blue Sky, TikTok, all over. No, it's not all about the Golden Girls, but it's all about me. And if you'd like to be on the show or have a topic you'd like to be covered, send me an email at sogoodwenamed@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for listening, and thank you for being a friend. I guess I still gotta have the little part at the end where I'm talking about other stuff, although that was like most of this episode. And I have nobody to talk to. So, what y'all doing? What's going on? What's happening? I need y'all to be a little more interactive. See how I spend the whole episode telling you not to tell me what to do. Now I'm going to tell you what to do. I need y'all to be a little more active, honey. I need y'all to be a little more active. I need y'all to rate the podcast. I need you to follow me everywhere, comment everything I post, especially YouTube. Because when I blow up, y'all going to be trying to say, oh my God, remember me? You used to do the podcast. Oh no. Oh no, you weren't. You weren't featuring me now, so don't try to feature me then. But now you still have the opportunity to get in on it, so I can remember you and say, "Oh, I do remember you." Out of the way, please. But yeah, I have a lot of things in the works. Being unemployed gives you time for that type of thing. But people always say, "Well, what about your husband, bitch? This was a two-income household. I can't just suddenly depend on his income. Like we have a certain lifestyle that we were living. Our rent was a certain amount based on two incomes. What fantasy world do you live in? That's that white people stuff. That's what that is. That's white people. I don't know anybody black whose mother and father did not work. I don't know anybody who just had a stay-at-home mom that was black. I don't. I do not. As affluent as we were, my mother would, stop working from time to time, but for the most part, she always worked, and she still works, and she's 70. She says she's probably always going to work because I guess she wants something to do. But that's not in my reality to just depend on my husband. That's not what's happening. And he had two jobs. My man got two jobs. And he had a corporate job in HR, and then he also, you know, worked at a makeup store, I'll say, on the side. And I was, still working. And I said, oh, just quit. quit that corporate job and just focus on your interests and try to move up in that company since that's what you're passionate about, and I'll hold it down and make up the difference. That's what I thought. And I did for a while, but not so much now. So yeah, that's not a thing. And the sad part is that I really had baby fever lately. Not that I'm ready for a child, but I'm like, what if we never get to have a child because we don't have enough money for that? Not that that stops most people, but number one, we can't just have sex and have a baby. And number two, I would not want to bring a baby into the world unless I could raise them with the things that I want them to have. I don't see the point in struggling because all the time, not just from us, feeling struggly, but just like if we're super tired one day or whatever, I'll be like, can you imagine if we had a baby? So with the financials not being, where they were, I'm not out on the street or anything, but I don't have the luxury I used to have, and I have to really, watch my money and whatnot. This is not the time for that. But I really want a baby. But I'm not getting any younger either, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anybody want to give me a baby? Like this gay couple raised a baby that they found on the subway. Not that I do public transportation like that, but I would love to find a baby on the subway and be able to raise it. I can circumvent all of that other stuff. Because, if you adopt a baby, people always talk about how expensive it is. You can get a baby for free, but you have to get the baby from the state. And if you get a baby from the state, then you don't get to know important things like medical history and, if they potentially were exposed to, any type of substance or if they were abused in any way. You may not have that information if you don't go through an agency. So not only are you having to worry about having, a brand new kid, but silence, that's one of the cats, but you also have to potentially worry that they have all this shit that happened to them you don't know anything about, and they're going to wake up in the middle of the night screaming or something, and you're not prepared for that. Speaking of screaming I'm not prepared for, why don't you shut your fat face? I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that. You are the only cat here that I did not get by choice. You were dumped on me and I chose to keep you, and you show your gratefulness by annoying me at every opportunity with your loud screeching. I understand that that may be a part of your Siamese heritage, but I had a Siamese cat before, and Jasper didn't do all of that shit. He might stand outside the door screaming in the morning because he wanted to eat, but that was about it. Ezra, you just scream for no reason. Nobody wants to hear that. All you have to do is be quiet, and we'll be good. You have a very lavish life that you get to live. The other cats just sit around chilling, and all you want to do is walk around screaming. Now, when I put you in a cannon and you get shot across the Chicago skyline, I'm going to be the bad guy. I'm the one that PETA is going to be trying to come and get. But they don't know what it's like. PETA don't know what it's like. PETA does not have to deal with you screaming and hollering all the time. Not to mention you eat my plants and then you throw it up on my good velvet furniture. You bully the other cats. You jump up on top of the counters and stuff. Like, you got a lot going on. You need to slow your roll because you barely got up in here. I was nice enough to spare you from getting sent to a shelter because I know you would have got the electric chair immediately with all this hollering. And I mean, you're annoying, but that doesn't mean you deserve to perish. So I let you stay here. But you're not going to harass me and make my life a living hell. Okay? I do appreciate that you came in there and, the dog has been able to have a little pal in you since Chet has passed away and the other two cats don't really fuck with her like that. I do appreciate that, but that does not give you leeway to make my life hell. Do you understand? He is not really interested in that. I have him in my lap while I'm saying all this, and he really doesn't care. He's just trying to figure out how he's going to get down. But I'm not here for that, okay? You have on your little thunder vest that's it says insanely calm. Well, you're insanely annoying, okay? So if that's not going to cut it, then I'm going to have to get my little water gun and give you a little squirt. And if I find my super soaker, it's on and popping, little boy. Maybe I don't need kids. Oh, well, that sounds like enough random chit-chat for the day. Hopefully you all been able to sit through this 3-hour episode. If not, well, I won't know. So, yeah. I feel like I should have had more to say at the end of this. Not you, me. I should have had more to say. You should say nothing. This is not So good we screamed it. So silence.